Hey guys, welcome to my Instagram. My name is Elizabeth and I am a hairstylist in Royal Oak, Michigan. I also have been an educator for quite a few years now. I taught in a school for about 6 years. So I'm going to start doing some educational videos on my Instagram channel and I'm totally here for it, so I hope you guys are too. I'm really excited about it. Now, for a while, I have been asking you guys to give me questions or ideas or things like that that you might want to know about in the future. And I'm really excited to finally be sharing some of this stuff with you. But today, I'm actually going to be doing something a little bit different. Today's video is going to be more of like a get to know me sort of a video. And I want to just address a bunch of different questions that I get. Why do I do hair? Why did I become an educator? Why am I who I am? Why do I have blue hair right now, but my hair was pink last week? I just have so many things that I want to share with you guys. So first and foremost, I'm just going to let you guys know, I wrote down some notes because I'm a very forgetful person and I get really blabby and I just start talking a ton and I don't want to forget anything that I've been asked or things that I want to touch on because I've got a lot of stories. So let me flip to my notes. I'm very excited to start doing this because the last time that we were in, I guess, a quarantine. Right now we're technically not in a quarantine yet. We are just practicing a lot more safe measures at our salon and getting a lot of safety practices set into place. So it's giving us a little bit more time to do things like this from home. So during that time, I've decided that I really just want to start teaching classes. The last time that we kind of had a lockdown or something like that, I also was teaching classes. It was just a little bit different. I was actually a cosmetology educator at a school here in Royal Oak, and I loved it. I just really missed doing hair. So here we are, back in some type of shutdown, and I'm back teaching because I really love teaching too, and I am so indecisive and can never figure out which one I actually want to do. So, sorry if I'm really awkward in this video too. It's my first one I've actually ever filmed and put out there, so I'm a little bit nervous. I'm sure I'm gonna adjust my setup or get better lighting or change things over time. This is more of just a personal video, so I don't have any of my supplies with me. This whole week I've spent prepping different tools that I'm going to use to teach with. I have made a color wheel. I used to make people paint them when I was teaching, so I kind of got to experiment with that a little bit. It's been years since I actually painted a color wheel, so I did one of those. I got a pH scale for you guys. I got a couple different tools that I think are going to be really helpful when I actually start getting into the classes, so I'm really pumped to share that with you. So, the first question that I want to answer, why do I do hair? It's funny because I feel like I get this question almost every single day in the chair. Like, you always meet somebody new and they ask you, what made you do hair? Like, why do you have blue hair? Who are you? What is going on with you? So here, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background. I have been coloring my hair since I was 4 years old. I know that's really young. It's really funny because I didn't even know it was that young. I thought it was 8, and I said it to somebody one time in front of my mom, and my mom goes, "Oh no, honey, we did some highlights when you were about 4 years old." So it's been a long time. And I wouldn't have it any other way because who would I be if I hadn't been coloring my hair since I was 4 years old, really? So when I started coloring my hair, I was also perming it. I was doing all different kinds of things to it. I mean, I was just full force right away. And I don't remember a lot of that. I mean, come on guys. How many of you guys really remember what you did when you were 4 years old? But what I do remember is 5th grade. I remember in 5th grade, I had most of my natural color still, so I must have only had some highlights. And my mom said, you know, I really want to enhance your natural strawberry blonde. So she went to the store. She bought a red box color. Mind you guys, I've only had highlights and perms. Excuse me. I didn't know anything about red color or box color, honestly. But I think this is kind of what started my venture here. My mom brought it home and we decided to enhance my natural hair color, like whatever that may be. So my mom put this color all over my head, and it's so funny because I don't even remember it being as vibrant as it was. But recently I saw some pictures from when I was younger, and let me tell you, it was fire engine red. Like, there was no enhancing strawberry blonde there. I was a fire engine red, like, hair colored child in 5th grade. Unnatural, of course, and box color. So I probably had the hottest roots and the darkest ends, and it was just probably a mess. But that started my journey. I did that, and then after that we just continuously colored my hair. Come 6th grade, I chopped my hair off into a pixie, and my hair was long. It was like down to here, just chopped it right off. And you can tell I have no fear when it comes to chopping my hair. Then I was a little scared. You know, in 6th grade, you're considered looking like a boy if you cut your hair that short. And I remember, you know, feeling so self-conscious that my hair was way shorter than all the other girls. And it's just one of those things that you go through. But hey, you know what? We all, well, most of us, other than the 14-year-olds now, but we went through the blue eyeshadow up to our eyebrows and weird bowl cut stage. You know, that's just something that happens. So by the time I got into, I want to say it was 8th grade, I had still experimented with a lot of color in between this time. But I just remember my school picture in 8th grade. And my hair was down to here, like almost to my belly button, black box color. Just black from root all the way through my ends. That's when I wish somebody would have told me to stop coloring my hair, just looking back at pictures. But you know, in 8th grade, something else really great happens. And that is, you are about to go into high school, and they bring around that little slip that they make you fill out that has all of the different pathways that you can take in high school to basically plan your future. Which is insane, right? Like, a 14-year-old, or I was like 13 because I was a young person at that age. I was always a year younger than everybody else in my grade. But having to decide what you're going to do with your whole future at that age is just, that's insane, right? Like, who actually knows? So basically, I filled out all of these different like artistic pathways. I remember thinking I was going to be an interior designer. I remember thinking I was going to be an artist. You know, I just basically filled out everything that I could fill out that was like nurturing, caring, or creative. So veterinarian, art teacher, things like that, right? So I figured out I couldn't be a veterinarian really fast because let me tell you guys, I can't see animals in pain. I cry when my dogs get hurt. I'm just that kind of person. So, you know, I saw hairstylist on there and I was like, you know, I think that's a pathway I could definitely take in the future. I always thought it would be really cool and like wanted to be a hairstylist, but I was always afraid of that, like having someone else's like life in your hands kind of. I mean, come on, be real. Hair is your life. Everybody wants their hair done and everyone wants it to look great. So I didn't really decide I wanted to do hair until it was like 10th grade. I think 10th grade is when they started pushing your career path a little bit more to see if you wanted to go like the vocational route where you, excuse me, where you went to cosmetology school through high school, or if you were going to be somebody who waited and you went to college for 4 years. They just were really trying to figure it out then. So for some reason, my school would not let us take the vocational program in our junior year for cosmetology. I decided that I was going to take it, and it was my senior year of high school when I actually got to take the program. So I went for 2 hours in the morning to cosmetology school. I came back for one class in high school, and then I had a job. So I actually went and I worked my job. And I finished 600 hours of the program by the time I was done with high school, which meant that I still had to go get more education somewhere to finish my program. Cosmetology is a 1,500-hour program. So at that point, I decided I was going to finish it. There's a lot of little mishaps in between where, you know, we all go through things where we're like, I don't want to be a hairstylist, or I'm not good enough to be a hairstylist, or for me it was I couldn't cut a straight line. That was the hardest thing for me in school, was I couldn't do it. You could give me somebody and tell me to make them platinum blonde and I would have no problem with it. But if you were like, go give that girl a blunt haircut where you can see one straight line, I lost my mind. My mom was always the person who really pushed me, and I remember her pushing me through that and saying, like, you got this, girl, you can do it. And I did. I'm not saying that everybody else didn't push me, but I remember my mom forced me. She sat me in the kitchen and said, "You will cut my hair right now and practice." So I'm really thankful for that, because I may have actually given up being a hairstylist and I wouldn't be where I am. So I ended up going to school in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, which is in the center of our state. The Central Michigan University is there, sorry. CMU, which is where I met my husband, which will come up a little bit later why I'm here. So I ended up finishing out school there, and as soon as I was done with school, I got a job. I had multiple interviews, and I remember going to a bunch of different ones, and I ended up working at a JCPenney salon. I'm from a very small area. That was a great place to start. You made an hourly wage. You were guaranteed at least some type of clientele. But you know, I always knew that Central Michigan wasn't going to be where I would stay, because I always wanted more. I wanted to do something that was really fun. Like, a lot of people there are very natural and they want to have like blonde or brown or like all over red, or just things that aren't what I love doing the most. Do I love doing all that stuff too? Of course, because you have to love it all. But I wanted to paint rainbows, you guys. Like, I wanted to go somewhere. I wanted to teach people how to paint rainbows. Like, I just remember that being a thing. Like, I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I remember wanting to just be big. That was always a goal. So I had worked at JCPenney's for 2 years, and I didn't plateau there. I really wanted to get some experience. They had a great education. I was going once a month to learn different training with Nick Stenson for Matrix, and I was having a really great time. I had great friends that I met at my first job. Like, it was an amazing experience for me. But for some reason, I don't know why, you guys, I was like really bored with my life, and I decided I wanted to be a lawyer, just out of the blue. I guess not really out of the blue, because I was 18 or 19 when I decided this, and you're still pretty young. That's probably the time you should make decisions about what you're going to do with your life. But I decided that I was going to be a lawyer. So I called my dad and I told him, like, I'm going to go back to college. And he said, why don't you go get some of those prereqs done at a community college and get that out of the way, see if you actually like it before you decide to like go full-blown lawyer mode. So I did. I went to a community college in Mount Pleasant, and I met with the admissions officer person there, or whatever it was. And sorry guys, I didn't really go to college very long. And I remember them telling me, you know, something that you could do that would be really great for you would be a paralegal. It's only a couple years. You only need so many classes, and you basically get to do all the research for the lawyer. So, you know, then it sounded great. Now thinking about it, it sounds like you're kind of just doing all the work and getting paid less. But I don't know. Maybe that's not what it is. So anyway, I was like, okay, let's do it. I totally will go to school to be a paralegal. At least I can learn about the law, learn about all the things that I need to know. So I signed up and I did it. For like one semester. Let's be honest. I am not a lawyer. I'm not the material to be a lawyer. I think what I really wanted was to be Malibu Barbie, where all I had to do was put on a costume and I was that person for the day. Like, firefighter, here we come. Lawyer, just put on my Legally Blonde business suit. Like, I don't think I really wanted to be a lawyer. I just think I found it interesting, and, you know, who doesn't love a good murder show here or there? So clearly I just had a little obsession, and it wasted me some money in college. But what I will tell you guys that it did for me, I had like 4 classes. That was it, that semester. I had algebra, I had computers, I don't even know, but I had speech. Okay, that's where I'm going with this. I hated algebra. I literally never went to that class. It was just terrible. I remember I got called out one time for being late, and I was just like, I can't have this. I was also 18, you guys, come on. But then, or 19, whatever. But then I had this speech class, and I actually really liked speech. I went to speech every single time. I did my homework. Like, I got a good grade in speech. I really liked speech class. In the very last project that we had to do as our final, so like our final exam, was to write a speech about an inanimate object. So like a table or a basket or a stool, or like, I don't know, something that wasn't alive or breathing, you know, like your mom or your dad or your brother or cousin or boyfriend or whatever. it had to be something that meant a lot to you, that was sentimental, pretty much. And I was young. I had a lot of, you know, things, but not things that meant a lot of stuff. I'm not saying I'm not young now, but I definitely have more things that are sentimental now that I've inherited. But then I had no idea what I was going to use. And I remember, telling my mom and dad, like, I have to write this speech for speech class. And it was a 10-minute speech, you guys, a 10-minute speech about something that, like, meant the most to you. But it had to be, like, a table. Like, what? So at this time, I had roommates. I was living in an apartment. I'm not a procrastinator, first of all. If you tell me to do something, I do it right away because I'll forget. I'm forgetful, so I don't procrastinate. I'm just going to be very upfront about that. So this speech, it really had me. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. The one class that I loved so much, and I'm not going to be able to do the last project. Well, that weekend, I cut my friend's hair. And or my roommate's hair, and I had a pair of scissors, obviously, that were my very first pair of scissors. They were like this rainbow pair of shears, and I set them on my desk in my bedroom. And when you live with roommates, you kind of hang out in your bedroom, you have your common areas, but like your room usually has your hangout stuff. So I'd always go in there. I had like a little couch and stuff, and my scissors sitting on my desk. And I remember it was 2 days before the speech was due. And I went in there to watch some TV. I sat on my little couch and I looked over at my desk. My scissors were sitting there. And it hit me. I was like, wow, that's what I should be writing about. I just didn't even think to write about my scissors, but that's exactly what I needed to do. So, for some people that might not be something that's really important, but for me, those scissors represented a lot. They represented like who I was as a person, my creativity, a lot of different stuff, which I'm going to tell you in a second. So I grabbed those pair of scissors and I grabbed my note cards and I just start writing as much as I can. And I remember getting to class and it was my time to give my speech. And I went up there and you had to take your object so you could show people. And I went up there and I took my object to the front of the classroom and I started talking about it. And I didn't need my note cards. I just started talking about how passionate I was about doing hair and how these scissors represented like everything that I was and what I needed to do for my job. And they helped me pay my rent and build my relationships with people. And they, honestly, one of my favorite things about doing hair is making people happy. Those scissors represented transformations, the amount of people that I'd made happy over time, just friendships in the salon that I'd built, so many different things. And I aced that speech. I aced it. But you know what happened? I left that day and I felt like I was doing something wrong. I just kind of felt like something about what I was doing wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. Like, what the heck was I doing, going to be a lawyer? Like, how am I so passionate about hair and doing things like that if I'm going to school to be a lawyer? Was it money? Because, let's be honest, money doesn't buy happiness. So that's definitely not what it was. Maybe it was like a sense of feeling important because all of my friends were in college. I'm not really sure. But what I will say is I called my dad and I said, Dad, I feel like I'm wasting a bunch of money at school. I never go to class. I just gave a speech about my scissors and I'm totally freaking out because I'm so passionate about doing hair and I'm in college. What am I supposed to do? And he said, Elizabeth, you've told your mom and I since you were a kid that you wanted to be an artist or an art teacher. Have you ever thought about just teaching cosmetology? And it clicked. I knew that education was like what I needed to do. I hated college and algebra and all of those things, but I loved talking about what I love. So I decided that day to drop out of college. I stopped going. I waited until I passed that speech test to drop out of that class, but I dropped out of all my classes. And I went and signed up to go to school to be an educator. It's funny because I feel like a lot of people do it as like, I don't want to say a cop-out career because that's not what it is. I feel like a lot of people do it when they don't want to do hair anymore and they just love education, But for me, it was that I loved hair so much. I wanted to share I mean, it could be something different for everybody, but I wanted to share the part of hair that I love. I remember going to cosmetology school and not feeling passion from my educators, not feeling like they really loved their job. And I wanted to turn around and give that back to students. I wanted them to feel like they were loved and the person that was teaching them was truly passionate about what they were teaching them. I've never had even one doubt in my mind that I was somebody who was supposed to be an educator. When I became somebody who was in that position, I gave it my all. I think that's why I really want to get back onto the camera and start teaching classes again, because it's one of my favorite things. The feeling I get from teaching people and sharing my knowledge and just telling them how much I love being around people and how much I love the chemistry of hair. Like, you guys, I this week have been painting pH scales. Like, who do you know that does that? Come on. Education is just so important to me, and it makes me feel so good that I've changed so many lives out there just by being an educator for them. You know, this would be, in May, I will be a hairstylist for 10 years. So one of the things that I think is so cool, I started teaching 2 years in, that's pretty young. I don't recommend it for everybody. I had a different way of thinking about it. My passion was always there, but I never was going to stop working in the salon. I've definitely had some like little hiccups and stuff where I only worked one job, like I worked as an educator or I only worked as a hairstylist. But I've really always loved both. And I think that this platform is going to give me a lot of room to grow and teach you guys about all of the extra things that you need to know. So this channel or Instagram or whatever, because it's not YouTube, is going to be more about teaching, you know, people that need some of that basic knowledge still. I want to teach some tips and tricks. I want to teach my guests behind the chair the kind of knowledge that's in my brain that goes through my head when I have to do their hair. You know, I think that's something a lot of people overlook is how much chemistry we actually have to know, or how much science we have to know. It's funny because we have to know like the base of a color behind a color. We have to know what's going to cancel out or neutralize a tone so you have the perfect hair color when you leave. Like, there is just so much knowledge that's hiding in there that we have to know about, and I really want to share a lot of it with you guys. First and foremost, I love hair. I love hair color. I love the chemistry. I love styling. I love hair, right? But something else that I want to do too, I've learned a lot about skincare. I've learned a lot about nail care. I've learned a lot about just regulating the body and everything else too, that I'd also like to teach some classes on that. After this video, if you guys want to like send me a message or comment or anything like that and let me know if there's something out there that maybe just a fun fact, because I love fun facts, but if there's something that you really want to know about, I'm willing to teach classes on extra things too. I just love education. I've probably said it 800 times already in this video, but it's my favorite thing. I'm going to look down because I feel like I am getting so passionate about this that I'm forgetting so many things. Oh, so here, I'll tell you guys my last little crazy story for this video, and then I'm going to save it because I have so many other little crazy videos. So, when I moved from Mount Pleasant, my husband went to CMU. So here's a fun fact. Then he was my boyfriend, but he went to CMU, and I was teaching, or student teaching, because I was going back to school to teach, and I was working at a salon. I was just like a crazy busy person all the time, working like 70 hours, going to school, doing this, doing that. I don't even remember how I did it, to be honest with you guys. But he ended up moving back here because he's from this area, Royal Oak area. And I followed him about a year later. I stayed there by myself. I got the experience of living in a studio apartment, like, you know, all of the things that you should probably do at least once. I'm not saying it's bad if you haven't, but it helped me a lot. I'm glad, because I feel like it made me grow a lot as a person, being on my own. But anyway, he brought me down here, and he got a job like around Ann Arbor area. And I worked in Ann Arbor for about 4 years. I was in a really high-end salon doing hair for a while. I actually did a lot of spa services, so I was doing like waxing and Facial waxing, you guys. I don't body wax. I know how, but I won't. But like facial waxing, I was doing manicures, pedicures. I've done acrylic nails behind the chair. I've done all different hair services, keratin treatments. I don't have a ton of experience with relaxers, I'll be honest, but I've done a lot of perms, pretty much any hair color that you can think of. I definitely specialize in vivids and like blonding, bleaching services. But yeah, so basically what I was saying was I worked in Ann Arbor for about 4 years doing a bunch of different stuff. And then I just became a hairstylist there. I even like helped co-manage a salon. I went down a lot of different avenues. And then one day I was working at the salon. I just had got the job there and I was so excited to start. I think I'd worked there for 2 weeks and I walked out to my car and all of my tires were stolen. My car was on cinder blocks. If you've been in my chair before, you've heard this story because I think it's kind of hilarious now. Then I did not think it was funny. I was like crying in the parking lot. I didn't even believe it was my car. But anyway, all my tires were stolen. My car was on cinder blocks and my husband was just, we're moving like out of nowhere. And we decided that we were just going to start looking around for different houses, apartments, this, that. And on a whim, we decided to just move to Ferndale from Ann Arbor. And I was working out in Ann Arbor, so I actually continued to drive there for about a year after we moved to Ferndale to work in the salon. And then I was offered a full-time position at a school in this area, and I took it because I always wanted to do that. I just thought it would be so cool. Like I did have a full-time position working at a school when I was in Mount Pleasant as well, but I was working full-time at a school and part-time at a salon, and I was just always busy. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give up this drive to Ann Arbor. I just can't do it anymore. The winters were brutal, you guys. It was like 2.5 hours on the road one way. So I gave it up and I taught. And I taught for a solid year without working in the salon. I also taught for a year while I was still renting a booth, just so I could have some, like, I had to get my passion out somewhere. But yeah, I decided that I was going to work full-time in the school, and that was for about a year. Well, then Corona hit, right? Corona changed everyone's life. I don't care what you want to call it, coronavirus, COVID-19, Corona. My grandpa calls it Clovis. I don't care what you guys want to call it. But it's ruined so many lives, right? One of the things that made me realize though, and I think it also did this for a lot of people, was it made me realize what I wanted in life. I remember growing up, everyone hated their job, right? You always had like that person you knew that was like, oh, I hate my job. I wish I could do something different. I didn't want to be that person. And when the coronavirus hit, I felt like the education part of me, like working in a school, started turning into make sure you wear your mask and be sanitary and, you know, wash that doorknob. Just like things that are important, so important. And you need to know those things in school. But not what I was passionate about anymore. I wanted to teach people how to paint those rainbows again. And to be honest with you guys, people were scared to get their hair done in the beginning. They still are scared. We were closed down for a long time. It felt like we were teaching people that we just had like a unpredictable future. Like why are we teaching people? Is it actually going to pay off in the end? Like, are we all going to get to do hair again? And now I feel safe again. I feel, I get it. The numbers are going up and all of that. But I still feel like hair is my passion, and I want to educate again one day, but maybe not in a school. I think I want to educate hairstylists or people who really want the knowledge, and that's where I'm going to use my platform. So really, if you guys have questions, always ask or send them over, or I'll just do a class about it. That's how it's going to be from now on. And I'm really happy to be back in the salon. I can't tell you guys enough how happy I am to have found Alchemy Color Lab. I'll give them a little shout out here. I have an awesome boss over there. I think that a boss really makes a team, and I'm very fortunate to have somebody like him that's been able to give me some constructive criticism, because quite honestly, when you have been a hairstylist for such a long time, it can be hard to it can be hard to criticize somebody. So I feel like that's something that people don't do. And I needed somebody who was like, hey, you need to work on this or do that or do this, or here's some extra education. And he's been really awesome for that. Alchemy is beautiful. It feels so safe inside. It's very sanitized. And, you know, we have like barricades between the shampoo bowls, and it's been a really great experience so far. I really hope that when we open back up, you guys come and see me, because it's just amazing. I'm sorry, by the way, if I seem like I'm jittery. I'm shivering because I'm cold. Oh, and the light just flickered. Look at all these things happening at the end of the video. So my next video that I'm going to do with you guys is actually going to be, this was obviously a just get to know me, 30 minutes long, but a get to know me. The next video I'm going to do is going to be about my hair. I want to talk about all of the crazy things that I have done with my hair, why it's still attached to my head. I also want to talk to you guys about the type of routine I have to go through to have hair that still has flow to it while it's being this platinum. I mean, come on, you guys. I just lightened it like a week ago, and she's still got some body to her. Just a little hairspray. So I just want to go through a lot of different things. I also am going to do a class here coming up about pH and why it's important for your whole body and your hair, your skin, your nails, all of that kind of stuff. How we look at pH in the salon. I also have another class planned, and these are ones that I know of right now. That's why I'm telling you guys this. I have a class planned about color theory. Now, theory would be like educational, sitting down, book work, that sort of thing, but it's not going to be traditional. Yes, I'm going to go through the color wheel, but I also want to talk about like the relationships of colors and why we use them together or what we do with them. The saturation of colors, the hue, intensity, just all different kinds of things. So I am so excited to start this journey. I hope I didn't ramble too much, and if you made it this far, thank you for watching. If you decided to click out, then I understand that too, I guess, because this is a long video. But also just know that I'm here for you guys. I love my job. I don't care if I have to sit behind a computer and tell you guys how much I love it, or if I can actually be in the salon and tell you guys how much I love it. Like, come see me and you'll find out. I promise. All right? Have a great day. If you have any questions for me, please send me a message. You can comment on this post too. But honestly, just stay safe out there, and I hope to hear from you guys soon. Bye.